she'll edit it, and it will be called BedVlogs Outlander. Why? Because you are an Outlander, and I am outlandish.
Oh, they always make a big deal about cool title cards in Outlander. It's like a thing. In fact, I think they're all shot by one guy who's one of the writers who was also a book reader, Matt B. Roberts. And this one, now do you understand the significance of they were powdering the wig and at the end it fell over on the ground? And I said, that's significant.
Funny you should mention the wig. I took notes.
Okay, what are your notes?
I have all the notes about all the important things for our episode of BedVlogs Outlander.
Okay.
Season 02, episode whatever this is.
This was a pretty outlandish episode for several reasons.
So, of course, we have to talk about all the most important subtext in this movie is a statement on modern dentistry.
Yeah, right.
So let us talk about the modern dentistry motif of outlandish.
I noticed
Outlander.
They didn't show her actually reaching in the child actor's mouth with that disgusting hook. Probably the child actor was sincerely terrified.
I would like you folks to pay attention to and notice the important product placement, because it's all about product placement. Like this Apple product placement, all about product placement in this episode of Outlander with the risk board.
What?
The risk game board in the opening sequence.
I know what you're talking about.
The risk board with the little pieces for the little armies.
They
had product placement. Milton Bradley, I think, had to subsidize this whole episode with that important product placement. All right, so let us talk, because this is a thing about time travel and all of that. In that outlandish Outlander chase in the beginning, how that could have been benefited and an eye could have been saved with the little Tesla technology or perhaps a DeLorean. Tell us about how that would have helped the sequence of events.
They could have gone back to the future.
And let's see. Yes, when they were redirected to the new destination, why did she just not send an iMessage?
Because she didn't bring an iPhone with her back to the past because she came from 1945.
Was that not rather silly of her to leave that behind?
Well, she could have maybe brought some kind of a Morse code like telegraph key, but it has to be hooked up to somewhere. You can't just like send it out on its own into the void. I think you're in the wrong show. This show is not one of those kinds of shows where this is not some steampunk show. I really liked the conversation at the beginning where Jamie was sort of praying over Claire, and Diana Gabaldon is Catholic and Jamie is supposed to be religious, and so she might be more likely to show that side of him. I thought that the tender moments between them were nice. It was interesting that she chose that they would just go back to sleep and not be like, oh, well, now that we're awake, let's get frisky. Well, what does it mean to take on the author as the screenwriter? It's interesting if they let her choose this episode. She said she chose it because they let her know that the way they had broken up the season, that this one was likely to be a place where she could hold pretty closely to what happened in the book. I thought she did a good job. Whether I can tell, like from authorial voice, that it's she adapting herself, I'm not sure. It seems like she relished writing for the Duke of Sandringham.
Blurt.
What do you mean blurt?
Blurt.
Oh, you're talking about the Duke of Sandringham said he does not just blurt things out.
Blurt.
But you do, huh?
Blurt.
Okay, that's enough of that. All right, the Duke of Sandringham reminds me of a Bond villain because he was so genteel about being evil. The guy's sitting there petting the cat. That would be the Duke of Sandringham. He would be like one of those villains, or like in Kingman, when Samuel L. Jackson, didn't want to get all messed up. You saw how as soon as he saw Jamie come in, he grabs his wig, and then at the end, Jamie takes it off just for the, final kind of like disgrace. It's like, nope, you don't get to keep that wig on for this. To talk about how it happened in the book versus the episode, is that a spoiler? Because the person who's not a book reader might decide to go back and be a book reader, and then you would have spoiled for them how it happened differently in the book. So
I hate to tell you all, but in The Shining, the house blows up. There, I spoiled it. I spoiled Stephen King. Forever, people cannot.
Yeah, and it's a croquet mallet, not an axe.
Cannot ever see that, and croquet.
Right. And the hedge animals come to life.
And Halloran friggin' lives because Halloran serves an actual purpose.
I think even the author, Diana Gabaldon, likes how they have sort of invented this Angus and Rupert as comic relief and their camaraderie with everybody. So then coming up to these episodes, when we were getting back to Scotland, all I remembered was they're going to have this heartbreaking scene where Rupert dies in the church. And he was kind of a nobody before.
Do you have to add that I was impressed and learned a lot. I did not know what LASIK surgery involved. And I thought that was a wonderful demonstration of LASIK surgery.
I didn't watch. Well, in the book, Rupert is mortally wounded. He says to Dougal something to the effect of, Dougal, this dying is slow and pains me. You're my laird. Can't you help me along? And I thought, we're going to have to watch Rupert die. And then when he got shot, I was like, oh, yes, they are going to do it. And then she just took out the bullet and he was okay. And I was like, all right.
And he gets a cool eye patch to wear Halloween parties.
Unless they're still going to kill him at the Battle of Culloden. No, I loved it the way Claire was telling him pirates, wear an eye patch. And he was like, what?
Another episode of BedVlogs Outlander.
I thought it was a good episode. I don't mean our episode, I mean their episode. I thought it was a good episode.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, because it was one of those ones where you think, like, how can it already be over?